Welcome back to the Sketchy Games Month of Horror. Today we review a horror game that is very close to my heart, Dead Space 2. The story of Dead Space 2 takes place 3 years after the events of Dead Space 1. Isaac now suffers from dementia due to the events on board the Ishimura and Aegis 7, as well as from the influence of the Red Marker, and has visions of his dead girlfriend Nicole. Due to this dementia, Isaac has been put in a mental hospital on board the Sprawl, a space station in orbit around Saturn, and happens to wake up right in the middle of yet another necromorph outbreak, and must escape while still wearing his straitjacket. This is probably one of the most effective moments in the game, because it removes any means of self-defense from the player and makes you feel vulnerable. However, this lasts for no more than 10 minutes to my disappointment. I feel I should also mention that Isaac now has a voice, which I feel works quite well. I find it quite enjoyable to listen to what's going on through his head in a few sections. You also encounter a female character named Ellie, who, unlike many female support characters in gaming, is actually quite competent as a fighter, never becoming a damsel in distress, and prefers to work alone because others are a reliability to her. Certainly one of the most likable female characters I've seen in a game. One of the nice touches in the story is how Isaac's dementia gets gradually worse as he continues to work his way through the Sprawl, with many of my favorite moments being, spoiler alert, being when Isaac returns to the Ishimura, and as you remember from my previous Dead Space review, I find it extremely unnerving to return to places I've been to before and seeing them in a worse state than when I left. As you explore the ship, Isaac has many flashbacks relevant to events that transpired during his previous trip to the Ishimura, all of which take place during gameplay, fortunately. Also, you hear the whispers of Nicole, taunting you about how no matter how hard you try, you will never escape your past. During my first playthrough of the game, this level scared the living piss out of me, and to that I wholeheartedly congratulate Visceral for actually succeeding in scaring me in a Dead Space game. Another thing I'd like to touch on from the story is how Visceral actually showed Isaac's engineering skills in action. Not to any great extent. They normally just take place as mini-games. The gameplay is very much similar to the first game, with the controls being a bit more streamlined, with little things like being able to reload without having to raise your weapon. Stasis energy now recharges over time, and you can now use your kinesis module in combat rather than just puzzle solving all the time. The zero-gravity mechanic has also seen a lot of changes, as you can now free-float around and move by using the thrusters built into Isaac's suit. Though one change I actually found a bit disappointing was how they increased the default level of oxygen. Being in the vacuum of space no longer feels like I'm at great risk like it did in the first game. There have also been a few new enemies, such as the Pack, which is a large group of reanimated children's corpses that will tear you apart unless you kill them fast enough. The most terrifying new addition, the Stalker. In the first encounter with them, it is probably the most terrifying, paranoia-provoking sections in the game for me, because you're in a rounded room, and stalkers like to hide and play with your head, and at no time are you able to see every direction they could possibly come from, making you feel incredibly vulnerable. And hand in hand with new enemies comes weapons, such as the precision rifle, the javelin gun, and the detonator, to name a few. Precision rifle allows for accurate long-range shots. Javelin gun allows you to impale baddies to walls with an alt-fire that electrocutes the area surrounding it. And last but not least, the detonator, which basically allows you to set traps for enemies. Now the gameplay is not without its faults. Some of the biggest problems I have with the game have to do with its logic. For instance, who on the Sprawl would design an emergency airlock system for a window breaking that will only close if you shoot the flashing light right above the opening? Am I supposed to believe that everyone on board the Sprawl carries some sort of handgun? Well, I guess that would explain why the corpses of children and babies drop ammo. Also, Isaac on occasion will now have to crawl through various vents on the Sprawl. But wait! Oh no! Don't necromorphs travel through the vents? Well, yes, they do. But for some reason, the ones in this game make you crawl through empty ones. with the exception of the very first vent, but that necromorph is there for only 1 second. The visuals of Dead Space 2 are far greater than that of the first, still sporting their amazing lighting engine, which is now complemented by high-res textures and character models. The game also takes you through a lot of different environments in the first game, ranging from hospitals to shopping malls and elementary schools. The audio is just as high quality as the first game, and the voice acting has improved as well. They have shown that they are capable of subtlety with the sound effects to a greater extent, though I wish I could say the same for the gameplay. I would definitely recommend this game. If you have played and enjoyed the first game, most certainly. Dead Space 2 fixes many of the issues I had with the first game, and I'm hoping Dead Space 3 won't just be a giant leap back. It's not immensely scary, nothing more than jump-out horror for the most part, so you action fans can also get enjoyment from the game without having to fear for some time. Until you reach Ishimura, that is. If you have any game recommendations, leave it in the comments. I already have a schedule I've set till the end of November, and starting December, I will begin reviewing games you all recommend for the most part. I currently have no method of recording footage off console, but hopefully by then I will have something. This is Linkonair signing out. See you next week when I review Doom. And yes, I am aware that I said reliability instead of liability, just in case any of you felt like correcting me on that. And also, I will not be reviewing Doom 3 next week. Instead it will be Dark Souls, because I already own that game, and I need the money I would have spent on Doom 3 to pay for the Assassin's Creed 3 PS Vita bundle. I hope you understand. Have a good day.